everything. This is your beginning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and everything in between, above, below, and through dimensions. My name is BlazyBard. Joining me here today on the desk, I've got HD Philly and Falcon. Gentlemen, are you ready for the grand finals of the PCC Spring Playoff stage? Because I sure am. Nothing gets me pumped like that VT does, Philly.
I was just about to say the same thing. Sharky does such great work with those videos. I got chills just watching that. I'm ready for this battleground to have another tail in it. And will it be NightShade EU getting a back-to-back championship? These guys look unstoppable so far.
They certainly look strong. Their rivals, VVMH, Many Hands, did have an opportunity to attempt the dethroning yesterday, but fell short by just a little bit. Now coming back up through the losers bracket, they will have a second crack at NightShade EU. Falcon, how are we feeling about VVMH after watching them down in the losers bracket up against Raze yesterday?
It was a very different team against Raze compared to what we saw with them for NightShade. But first of all, I want to congratulate you, Blazy. You managed to say their name correctly this time around, so
I was trying not to draw attention to it because maybe that would scare it away, but I've been practicing all night.
We're getting back into the team. They showed up against Raze. Didn't seem like I had any pressure in that lower bracket final. Coming back over with the 2-0 victory over Raze. And we get our rematch. First of all, it was best of 3 yesterday. Today, best of 5.
Yeah, so they're going to have a little bit more time. And I think we saw yesterday that kind of flash of hope where game 1, they didn't look so great. Game 2, they were starting to show some signs of life. Maybe by the time we got to game 3, there would have been some real pushback. Maybe they just need a little bit more run-up to really get going. On the flip side, let's have a quick look at how North America shook out yesterday as well, with our finalists Flow State and Professors going up against one another. Now, we happen to have one of the handsome casters who commentated those matches yesterday, Philly. Tell me a little bit about this matchup. Flow State and Professors both looked absolutely terrifying.
For sure. Flow State, though, more terrifying than the rest. I mean, their aggression, their tempo was incredible yesterday. Just full throttle from start to finish in their matches. I think they have a ton of momentum in this grand finals here. But Professors, sort of like a brick wall. How much force can they take and how much pressure can they push back? This one, I can't wait to witness. It's going to be great.
A group full of unstoppable forces. And on the other side of the pond, this side of the pond, in fact, Philly, you are outnumbered, I'm afraid. We have a scene full of immovable objects. Immovable objects that were not, in fact, moved at the last LAN. Just to put in that subtle flex there. And speaking of those LANs, Philly, that is what we are all to play for today. These pinnacle points will allow teams a chance to qualify for the in-person championships at Summer Summit later on in the year. First place will walk away with a grand total of 50 points, 40 to second place. So either of these teams, any of these teams on either side of the ponds bracket today, will walk away with a decent amount. And it is not first past the post. It is, in fact, highest amounts, right? So the teams at the end of the year with the highest total amounts will be able to qualify, not just those who beat a certain threshold. So this amount of points this early on in the year will get them off to a pretty good head start. Hey, Philly.
Yeah, 100%. And, I just want to clarify, I was born in Italy. My parents are from there. All right. I got an honorary, I got an EU badge. I got my Italian Social Security card. Okay. I'm allowed to be here.
Molto bene.
Grazie. Yeah, so a ton of pinnacle points to play for. Team Raze, they scoop up, about 35 pinnacle points for themselves. So that's really good, actually. And these pinnacle points can be used a lot of different ways in terms of, roster changes and things like that. So you want to get as many as you can. But this grand finals, I think EU, they're already going like this, knowing they can get all 50.
Yeah, it's going to be a really contentious one. I think NightShade, they're not really necessarily too worried about the matchup. If yesterday, or in fact any of the rest of the tournament, has shown us they have yet to drop a single game so far over the last few weeks. Will today be any different? We'll get into that in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. But these pinnacle points are, of course, leading to the Championships on LAN Summer Summit. And if you want these esports events to get bigger and better every single year, just like we do, you can help support us by picking up one of these Victorious bundles from the shop in-game. Every single one of them has 3 incredible skins, some cosmetics, some icons, and some unlocks of characters. So it's a good way to maybe pick up some characters you didn't already have access to. Falcon, I know I asked you yesterday, but for anyone not watching, or in case you've had any overnight changes of heart, do you have a favorite skin or icon in these bundles?
I don't have had an overnight change of heart, so hi, if you weren't watching yesterday, I'm a carry main. If you were watching yesterday, thanks for coming back. Great job. I hope you enjoy these games. But I do love the bunch of skins. I do love the gold and the black details on it. I think that is just such a good color scheme. And it goes along with being a victorious champion. So if you want to get any, it is always helpful for us. I know we have been going on about it a lot, but this is so important to us. It keeps the events going. It keeps those prize pools worth going for the players as well. So any help does go a long way.
Where's the downside? Trade offer. I can do the pinnacle hand. You give me a small amount of money for a bundle of skins. In return, you get higher quality content and the best gameplay in the predecessor scene. What is there even to consider? Philly, I'll bat the question back over to you. As a Cthulhu denier and terrifier, I'm personally actively scared of the Morn skin myself. Do you have a favorite, or maybe least favorite skin, or most terrified skin, not least favorite, in any of these bundles?
I mean, I was about to say the Born one is my favorite, so sorry.
So good,
The
so
good.
So good.
2-1.
But I love them, and I'd love to see the players rocking them too in a lot of these tournament matches. So just help support us, help support them. Eden skins too. We've been seeing the green and the pink one being popped off, and that's been fantastic. So just love everybody supporting the game, supporting us, supporting the community. So thank you so much.
But that's not the only way that you can show your patronage to PCC or any sort of predecessor esports. In fact, you don't even have to pay for this next one, ladies and gentlemen. You can grab yourself for 100% free. That's this number, one big old goose egg, a free banner, and icon with that regal purple to show everyone, show all your friends, yes, I'm cool, I watch the pros, and I will be running back every strategy, build, and pick that they run in my ranked games. And be just generally that guy. I wonder if we can see if there's an uptick of crunch play in Europe since yesterday's Raze matchup.
God, I hope not. If we didn't see, there was a last pick, crunch last game for Raze versus Venibeds. It did not go well. If you like crunch, play it. But maybe don't copy the pros unless you know what you're doing.
No, only copy the pros, emulate them in every way, shape, and form that you can, including their voices. And if you didn't know what their voices sounded like before, you can now. Because here's a word from our players.
Nothing specifically to anyone other than, I hope Predecessor Comp goes well for the year. I hope people enjoy the content that gets put out with, these interviews, other things that they, PCC ends up doing, or Meta, and just, the tournaments overall.
Yeah, I was gonna do it, but I'm gonna need, we, like I said, we didn't have much time to prep for the Gazoo tournament, so I'm gonna have to get my Grady get back, bro. I'm gonna have to get my get back on my boy Grady. I brought this out at LAN, man. It wasn't my belt, but my boy P, my boy Big P, he gave me his belt for the interview at LAN, so I'm looking to bring this shit back out, man, on a real note.
The only teams that I want to call out are the teams that are ahead of us, and the first rock and the first stone that we have to step over to win this thing is Pinzo's team. All that remains, I'm coming for you.
These mid laner players are freaking boosted, bro. If you are picking Argus Gideon every game, you are boosted. You are not that good. When the meta shifts, you will be bad. I'm sorry, it's the truth, but you are boosted. Just the way it goes, man. It's like all the offlaners that could only play Yuri. Like, oh no, Yuri's not #1 anymore. Now they're bad. Like, who could have guessed?
Tune in and definitely check our team out because I think we can beat any of the teams on the tourney day.
calling out the professors. They picked up Appy. I don't think they know that he's gonna leave them in a few days, right after the tournament begins.
When it comes to calling out a team, I just want to see what NightShade has to bring up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know we had like a little squabble in the last Soul Journey, but I do want to see NightShade. If we do end up going against each other, you know, I want it to be a good game, a good fight. So at the end of the day, so I just want to put it out there and see what comes out, man. Just keep practicing, and we're ready to see you guys on the battlefield.
To be honest, I don't really have to call anyone out. I'm not really worried about anyone in my lane, but I would say just watch out for me.
All I'm seeing is a lot of these mid laners, fake players, fake boosted mid laners. This role, free on my screen. That's all I'm seeing. I'm seeing free in mid lane.
Bold words from Wangle, who, awkward to say perhaps, has dangled his way out of the tournament. But we hold on to his words. And to echo Kaioken, I am also very interested in seeing what NightShade had to offer us today. Billy, I want to start with you and really highlighting probably one of our key matchups for this match. The ADC role, the carry role with two hands versus Neft, probably one of the few carries in the league who can really stand up to Neft in this position.
100%, and that's what I'm going to be watching the most. I mean, Two Hands was the winner at LAN on Team Sin, the only one that kind of makes Neft kind of have to lock in, shaking his boots just to spec. But I think that they push each other to go further, right? It's like a good rivalry that helps them evolve. And I'm elated to see this. Right now, though, it is Neft who has 4,000 more damage overall with 2 fewer games, mind you, throughout this tournament. So Neft is just on a tear in terms of this carry role. He is just blasting through everybody.
And we've seen so many great plays from him, notably yesterday stealing away some objectives with that long arm of the law and helping his teammates secure some fights that they almost had absolutely zero business winning. Falcon, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and it brings me perfectly into our next point here, over to the off lane. Well, we got to talk about we absolutely have to talk about Bondrude and the absolute domination of Nisa. Touched on it a little bit before. Falcon, tell me a bit more about it. This matchup in the offlane is going to be pivotal.
It's going to be very interesting because of just how strong Bondrude had in that first set. Played Terror in the first game, was banned away in that second game away from him. Just shows how strong he was on this hero. But even in that second game, he was still able to do basically anything he wanted, was able to play how he wanted on that Bale. Had a great synergy with Neft on that Murdoch, Long of Law plus Kingslayer, basically means a guaranteed combo at the end of the day. So for Red Events, I'm looking to see if they can facilitate Nisa, see if he can get on a character he's more comfortable on, because the Akron was banned away both games in the last set they played against each other. So maybe look for the Terror in the high priority and give him a character, a hero that he can sew up on, and he can show to us that he is more than a match for Bondrude.
Yeah, and that's going to be the main title question, the conversation that I really want to have with you two before we head into the draft, and while we're in the draft, to be fair, because I think both games, Falcon, you were on the desk with me yesterday, we highlighted that Venivens kind of fell short in the draft phase both times, right? We both felt that both of those games they played against NightShade yesterday, they didn't quite get all the things that they wanted, let a few too many things through. Philly, what do you think needs to be the main kind of adaptation? What changes do Venivens need to make to put themselves at a better starting point going into game number 1 today?
For sure, and I think that does come back to this off lane. How can they support Nisa in that lane? And I think that comes back to the jungle, right? Have Ven, I know he's an aggressive jungler, likes to play those assassins, wants to find these picks, but he needs to do something that can help Nisa win the lane. The only problem with that is Import loves playing through the off lane as well. And so it's like, how do you manage all of that? Taking away Rampage from Import, I think will be instrumental in this draft phase. Let's see if they prioritize it here.
Yeah, that as well. Going to the Murdoch, I think Neft was really strong on it. Falcon, are we expecting to see that challenge taken away in any way? Is Murdoch just one of those picks that's strong but not quite strong enough to really justify the ban?
I don't think Murdoch are going to see any sort of ban towards it. I think we're going to see it picked up either on NightShade or VVMH. Two hands can also play it very proficiently as well. The Grim ban was kind of interesting yesterday. That was the more of the carry ban compared to the Murdoch, compared to the Kira. So they just don't want to have such a strong lane when you pair it up with like Muriel. We saw that with VVMH yesterday, two hands, and Conte basically destroyed that lane. It's just a really annoying combo. But something we talked about before we went live was NightShade's ban yesterday, because it was Yue, Acheron, Grim. It was the exact same bans both sets, and we could already see we're getting a repeat here.
Yeah, it's mostly a repeat. The first small adaptation coming through from VVMH, taking away the Neon, which we did see NightShade go back to both times, or well, rather in that first game, in first slot, really wanting to prioritize it. We saw just how powerful Shin is with this character in hand. It will be Terra locked in for Bondrood. This was picked up last set as well between these two, and it just looked so impenetrable.
I mean, that's kind of her shtick, right?
Yeah.
Scale with armor, the Herser, right? This just making sure you get unstoppable with your ultimate. I love these bans, though, because NightShade EU has banned Yurei 5 times throughout this series. They know what Ven can do on this character. They want no part of it. And then targeting Naze in that off lane, getting rid of that Acheron. And they banned the Rampage, as we mentioned. But Falcon, I know the little rat on the ball, you were like, this guy's going to squeak through, and there he is.
Yeah, the Mako.
Always going to be high priority here. And I'm sort of surprised that Terra got first picked. I knew it was going to be high priority. I knew that NightShade wanted to go for it. But you do let the rat through. You do also have a chance to let this Aurora through if VVMH wants to pick it. The only issue, because you've already locked in the Mako, I don't think Ven and Niza are big Aurora players, so if they want to play it, it might be something that's a bit more unfamiliar with themselves. So NightShade should be able to pick it up in their second rotation. This second pick from them is going to be very interesting, because they can pick up a mid laner, they can pick up a off laner, but I was saying it, I'm going to take my words back. The Aurora was picked.
Well, I mean, you know, you still get that moment where you're there like, well, I did predict that this is the moment they could pick it up. It was more just the player question mark. The Aurora, they're too strong to leave on the table, says VVMH. They played pretty well with these two picks last time around. They seem to prioritize the Mako quite a lot in yesterday's set against Raze. And it seemed to work out well for them then with the start that they were trying to go for. NSEU, on the other hand, now looking potentially at that dual lane, looking potentially at the jungle. Zarus is open, Muriel is open. Some really high-ticket items still up on the board here, Philly.
Yeah, and they might prioritize the mid lane, though Shin has played Neon 5 times so far. Now that Neon's not on the board, I mean, Morigesh is open. Shin is very proficient on that character as well. Depends. I feel like you kind of pick Morigesh a little bit later, see how that goes in. But this Aurora pick, Conte has been playing it in the support role a few times so far throughout this tournament. So it is a kind of like a sneaky hidden pick. I know. That's true. That's true. It's not like we could go in the mid lane. We're not having Simba here. That's a good point, Falcon. Yeah, good point. And then the Zarus getting picked up. I like it.
Yeah, so that's going to be the really interesting question here, Falcon, right? Aurora, you know, has some flexibility here, not very commonly picked up in the off lane, mostly for that support role flexed into jungle. Are we expecting this to go into jungle, or could this be a spicy pickup for Nysa here to try and shake things up in the off lane?
Neither Ven or Nysa have played Aurora this tournament, so out of the two picks, that's potential. I mean, technically, you could have Mako mid. But we're not going to have that today. So I think this is going to be most likely a Aurora jungle piloted by Ven. We can see the Morigesh has been picked up. They wanted to secure that mid laner before the second wave of bans come around, because I imagine that was going to be VVMH's ban. If it wasn't picked up, you've already taken away the Neon. Morigesh is the second pick. So make sure that your mid laner doesn't have a strong enough hero pool to go for that. And the Greystone is interesting here. I wasn't going to expect an off-lane pick just yet from VVMH because there is still quite a lot to pick up. Neither your two main picks have already been picked away, so you might as well wait and get that counter pick a bit later on. But they want to make sure they have the Greystone, make sure it's not banned away, even though most likely this NightShade ban is going to be Grim once again.
Well, we haven't seen tons of Greystone on in this tournament. In fact, this will be the 4th time overall in Europe that he's picked up. Philly, what does Greystone bring to this comp? What is his role? What's he going to do for VVMH that maybe a different pick might not have done?
I think he brings stability, especially if Niza feels like they're always under duress from Bondrewd. You get the second life with the Stoneforged Soul, right, on your ultimate, so it gives some more stability in the lane. Also, if they are going for this high aggression, like dive comp, right, if Aurora jumps in with the Glacial Charge, then I can jump in as the Greystone with the Assaulted Gates, that kind of thing. Mako can fly in. So if they are just kind of going for this all-in dive composition, Greystone really helps with that. He can get into the backline, that sort of thing. He is kind of hard to dive as well, so if the Terra or the Zarus is coming at him, he can stand tall a little bit. So I kind of like it, just a safe overall pick.
So there you go, some stability, and I think we can pretty easily shake this out as Greystone offlane, Aurora jungle, and then Mako into that support role. Last 2 bans here then, the Muriel taken away, no support locked in for NSEU already, so it's a solid pick up. The Gideon here, I'm not sure how I feel about this ban. I've been quoted as saying in this tournament so far, Gideon has been a little bit of a bait pick, only a 30% win rate so far in the tournament. So why this banned away? Is it a bad matchup into Morigesh here, Falcon?
It's a lot of poke from Gideon. Morigesh doesn't really do it that very well, but Mikey's been playing Renner mostly, so I'm surprised by the Gideon ban personally. I don't think it's the best pick here, especially when you know VVMH, they can pick up this Renner. You haven't got that much scaling already on VVMH, and also it leaves the Grim open. So I guess they're just kind of waiting to see what they want to pick up. They're going to pick up the Murdoch instead, so they're going to leave mid lane to last, and they want to secure this. They don't want Nef to have it, even though Nef is a very proficient player on a lot of different heroes. The Murdoch we stowed yesterday meant that it was just too much to deal with. Those long laws cross map meant that there was a lot of pressure on that off lane as well, so that's going to reduce the amount of issues that Niza has to deal with. I think it's a good pickup here. It means that you can kind of wait to see what NightShade has picked up overall and then go for your mid lane from there.
Yeah, I think it's hubris to say that it is taking away from Neft, right? I'm not sure Neft is sitting in his chair going, oh no, Murdoch taken away, whatever will I do? But still, you're absolutely right. The level of performance on this character that we saw from the guy yesterday does warrant taking it away, and also just a generally strong pick, right? Good global pressure, some objective steal potential. It's just a good character to have. I think especially when you have this very dive-heavy front line, right? You've got a carry now who can follow up on that damage without necessarily needing to put themselves in a bad spot. 4th and 5th pick for NightShade then, Philly. What are we looking at?
Well, we need a support and we need a carry, and Grim was going to be my calls. Falcon so expertly said. Grim only played once so far here by Neft, so but we've seen him pilot it multiple times before. Just saying, like, you know, he's playing the Murdoch or the Kira most often, but now what do you pair with it? We've seen them run the phase yesterday.
Yeah,
you could run the phase and Grim right now. I kind of like it because you do have the scalability with the Morigesh, and there it is, the phase. Those two, it's like peanut butter and jelly in the lane. I love that combo.
Yeah, lots of good peel, lots of good supportive existence here for the phase. And Falcon, I gotta say, if VVMH are all dive all the time, lots of trying to get into your backline, what with this last pickup here ties in this identity? We might have to come back to that question, because what is Iggy and Scorch doing here?
I don't know. I need to quickly look up how many times has Iggy even been picked up in this tournament. Is
none.
That's the first time?
This is the first instance of Iggy and Scorch in the tournament. I'm not even sure if he's been banned. I don't think he's been banned.
I generally wasn't even, this wasn't even on my radar. I was like thinking Renner, maybe the Argus. They could go for something a bit weirder, like the gadget if you wanted. But Iggy and Scorch is very interesting. So Iggy and Scorch, the main thing this hero does is area control. You have your turrets you want to set up on the objective before anyone from NightShade gets over, and then it's a lot harder for you to be pushed in. You have a good self-peel with your ultimate as well, with that self-knockback, and there's a lot of area denial. Playing into a Morgas, I don't know how it's going to work. The Mark can deal pretty well with the turrets, especially if you go for that 4-turret augment, means the HP is lower, so it's easier to kill each individual one. I don't think that's going to be what it is. But I mean, it's pretty good anti-dive. Zara's Terror doesn't do brilliantly into it, but it's just a massive question mark.
Yeah, it feels like exactly the kind of surprise pick that they need, right? In these kinds of sets, sometimes it's important just to go, hey, here is something you haven't really played against in a while, something you might not know necessarily how to deal with. And I think this works pretty well against the Muragash in theory, right? The best place that she wants to be is right up in your face in melee range with those turrets. You have a little bit of extra ability to box the Muragash in close range. Philly, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, you saw the visceral reaction Falcon and I had when the Iggy was picked up. We both like reeled in our chairs, but just because we don't see him very often. But I like this. This is why we come to esports, to see a pick like this in a grand finals where you have to have a different look. This is a best of 5. So, okay, game 1, you try something different. If it doesn't work, all right, maybe go back to something standard, get the momentum back in your favor. But to Falcon's point, you need to be quick to objectives here. You have to be the first one in these pits to set up your turrets and get your positional advantage. So if they fall behind for even an instant, this Iggy pick is going to look really bad. So a lot of tempo has to be coming out from this jungle on the Aurora. And matching the Zarus, it's going to be tough. He is very quick around the map.
Something else I want to add on to that, sorry, Blazy.
That's okay.
You've got to remember, Ven hasn't played Aurora yet, so I'm assuming that Ven knows how to play Aurora fine. I don't think that's going to be an issue whatsoever, but how much has this team practiced this hero with this composition? Because looking through their scrims, I don't think they've played Iggy and Scorch once in those scrims. It's always been traditional mages. So is this something that is kind of trying to just throw a curveball towards NightShade? Is this something that they've practiced hidden away from us that we didn't see? It's going to be interesting in regards to that. I think that with Aurora's ganking potential, you can get this Iggy ahead, especially against the Morgas, who is that close range mage, as we have seen so many times. So you get a good Horfus, get good price system in those turret ranges. There's a lot of damage there for Shin to deal with, and I think it's a pretty good combination. But again, you're just like, it's Iggy Scorch. What are we doing here?
It's so interesting. I love this. We haven't seen it really at all. We don't even know really how to discuss this. We don't know how it's going to pan out. And as much as I would love to throw it over to the casters and get us... Welcome back, folks, folkettes, and everything in between. We are so sorry for the delay. And after some technical issues, we can reveal to you that the winner of game number 1 was, after a 46-minute banger. We're devastated that we won't be able to show to you. NS EU do walk away with game number 1. It's unfortunate that we don't get to see that game. We got to see a little bit of it. And Philly, I'll come to you first. We saw some really impressive stuff. A very early, rather controlling lead from VVMH for a lot of the game. It started to turn around the 30-minute mark. What happened? We were in there for the last 15 or so minutes.
Yeah, a lot of things happened, and VVMH did exactly what we wanted them to do, which was have this early game aggression so that they could get to the objective pit early, and that did start with Ven on that Aurora in the jungle, had a lot of great ganks around the map, opened up this Iggy, but what happened is as the later the game got, the stronger the Morgesh got. And when I was in the comms for VVMH, they could not deal with this Morgesh. The Greystone was like, I'm just being chunked, trying to dive on him, can't do anything, just too strong, too much healing, too much damage reduction. That person became a raid boss. Shin ran away with the game, but Falcon, Import cannot be understated, had some clutch plays in that game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to the other side, NightShade's comms, and it was the case of them just screaming to kill two hands, screaming to go for the objectives. One of the most pivotal points of this entire game was, I believe, the second or prime take, where Import managed to assassinate Ven in the back and then steal the objective. That's kind of what started the resurgence of NightShade into this game. And from then onwards, it was very I would say clear as much as you can get in the comms. Focus on two hands on this Murdoch. We can see that he had the best KDA on the team and was pumping a lot of damage in these team fights. But the Zaras and the Grim were both trying to kill this Murdoch as fast as they could. And the later the game went, the easier it was for him to do that.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. It feels like there just was a bit too much hesitation. There was a point around the 30-minute mark where left and middle inhibitors were down for NightShade. It looked like one more push could have ended the game, but a little bit of trepidation, it felt almost, from Benny Vens. And when we were in the when we sat in with the teams for the comms there, Philly, it almost felt like there were 4 different calls going on at any given time.
And that's where it does get a little bit chaotic, is in that late game, and this is what is difficult for all teams, is how do we close out the match? What is our strategy? And their strategy was to get the Primal, which they burned quickly because they knew they could because of the Iggy. Then they wanted to roll that into the Prime. They got to the Prime pit first, but then a miraculous play from Import stole the Prime away. There were bodies dropping everywhere. Then they didn't have enough gas left in the tank to get the final push, and they had to defend. Once they were on the back foot, they lost everything from there. So we're seeing some statistics here just showing kind of the ebb and flow of this match.
Yeah, and again, I do want to apologize to folks and folkettes. Trust me, trust us here on the desk. No one is more devastated that we don't get to show you this game than we are. It was a incredible one, but something that I think we really should highlight here is the strength that Venivens showed going into the start of this game here, Falcon. We were talking about earlier on, game number 1 in yesterday's match up against NightShade, they seemed almost non-existent. Game number 2, they looked a lot more present. This game, we were convinced they were going to win. They were going to make it through and take game number 1 off of them. They just stumbled right at the end. What does this say potentially for their chances at the rest of the series?
It shows good chances as long as their mental remains. I don't know how bad this loss would hurt, because a 50-minute loss is always going to weigh on your mind. But the early game was great from them. They got ahead on the objectives. They used this Iggy as effectively as they could. It shows that this Iggy can be played again if they want to go for that route. It was just part luck, part unfortunate miscommunication that all Prime was stolen away. It allowed NightShade to come back into the game. But if that wasn't stolen away, we were talking before we came back on cams, then the game would be 1-0 to VVMH right now.
Yeah, and that's a really exciting prospect to really talk about here, right, Philly? And I think we can look at the draft as much as we want. I don't think the draft was an issue here for VVMH, but do we think they will now opt to go for that first pick slot? Or because VVMH, they seemed to really like that second pick slot, in fact, choosing it in the last series yesterday.
I think it's going to be the Morgesh. The Morgesh was the big problem. They just could not take that character down. And so they're going to prioritize banning the Mori away or picking it up themselves if they can. I think that's going to be a pivotal pick throughout this, but this is where the professionalism shows for VV. They have to reset their mentals because they were demoralized a little bit at the end of that game. They're just like, I think we lost this. I think it's going down. You could see the comms, fading as the game went on. And so how do they reset from this? In a grueling endurance test in a best of 5, they have to recoup.
And that's something else we need to talk about, right? This game was 46 minutes. That is nearly an hour just on game number 1 here, guys. They've got to do this potentially 4 more times. They've got to do at least 3 more if they want to win the tournament, right? 5 more if they lose game number 2. But who's to say that? This team is almost like a chainsaw. They've been revving up. They're getting stronger and stronger with each individual match. There is absolutely no reason to think that game number 2 is not fully within their reach. That being said, Morigesh aside, Falcon, NSEU had some troubles in the early game. Is there any adaptations that we're expecting to see from them in terms of giving themselves a stronger footing? Or a NightShade kind of going, well, yeah, we had a bad early game, but we still won, so what's the change for?
I don't think the draft was an issue. I think it was just their gameplay. What we saw was that Ven focused mainly on the duo lane, which were playing quite aggressive, so we're able to get quite a few easy gangs on to this Grim and Face before they ramped up into that mid to late game. So maybe look at something else. Maybe Neft and Penguin want to play a bit more passively in that lane to make sure they're not as big of a target. But maybe get rid of Evora. But I don't think there's too much of an issue in the draft for NightShade. You just have to change how they play the early game a little bit.
Yeah, I think the big question is going to be whether or not VVMH decide to opt for that first pick priority. I think we've only really seen the ban phase from NightShade on first pick, and that every single time Yurei, Acheron, and then oh my goodness, the third pick has escaped from my
Gideon,
brain.
It was last time.
It was Gideon last time. The last 2 times it was over towards the Grim, which we did see locked in this time. So already a little bit of a interesting adaptation there. Whether or not they'll play differently, they'll obviously need to respect the Rampage, take it away from VVMH if they go for that first pick. Philly, we're kind of finding a lot of things to talk about for a game that we weren't able to see. And just to save me, thank you very much. We do, in fact, have the draft to go for, and it will be VVMH opting for first pick this time around. I think this is a really interesting change, and the Terror is what they have decided to get rid of first.
Makes sense. Terra, incredibly strong right now, was a big presence in terms of getting into the backline, creating space in that previous engagement, and that's what Import loves on for his offlaner, is that the space that he can create to make big plays like stealing away primes, finding picks, etc. So I love this from VVMH, but NightShade EU going with the tried and true. They're taking out the Acheron. Naze just cannot play this character.
Yeah,
Can
nice,
I quickly come back on this? Sorry, Blazy, but
yeah, go for
I'm going to slightly disagree with you, Billy. I don't think this Terror ban is actually very good, because NightShade is going to ban the Acheron away. You have first pick Prio. Niza likes this hero on the Terror, so you kind of banning away a first pick potential from yourselves when you know that it is a very strong offlaner. It's a very strong character into that mid to late game. You can play as just that massive raid boss. So unless they have a specific hero they want for this first pick, then I'm surprised they don't want the Terror.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Blaze. This is gonna turn into like the courtroom. So Falcon,
I'm just gonna sit over here. Do I have some?
Yeah. Take a back seat now. But I think they did get baited into this, Falcon. I think you're right, because they picked up Terra first, right? NSEU, and now they're like, oh, we have to ban it because that was their first pick. But I think they could have saved the Morgesh or gone for the Morgesh here. That's a really fantastic point. I think VVMH maybe got caught out a little bit here in the draft.
You kid there, Blazy? You enjoying that?
I'm having a great time. You guys carry on. I'll just.
Anyway, back onto that. So we have got first pick, and the UA is going to be first pick. NightShade didn't ban it away this time. Wanted to make sure the Rampage was banned away instead. So this is finally going to be a pickup. Could be for the off lane, could be for the jungle. There is flex potential in there depending on the matchup. And maybe we were baited to hit Philly, because, if they're not banning away the Rampage as VVMH and instead doing the Terror, that frees up either the Rampage or the UA.
Yeah, and I think now that you don't have the Terra, because the Terra into the UA matchup is pretty bad. But now if this Yurei is first pick with no Terra on the board, you could go into it in the off lane, which I don't think that's her best role. I think she's better in the jungle, but it is a viable option, right? There is some of that flexibility here as we do see the next two picked up. Blazy, we'll push it back to you, buddy. You got to run, get the train back on the tracks because Rocky and I, we can just go on. Yeah. You got a job to do, Fred. We'll send it back to you.
Little old me, I get some time. No, you guys absolutely are correct on the analysis here. I think what I really want to highlight, the Yurei, this is one of the first times this pick has been picked up. It has been banned in 17 games and picked now in 5. It is one of the most contended picks that we have had in this entire tournament. And now it is being placed in the hands of maybe one of our best junglers to pilot it. Venom's one of the best players to pick up this Yurei, partnering it here with the Muriel in support that was banned out last time around. VVMH did opt to ban the Mako. They obviously weren't able to pick it as a priority. They wanted to angle for this Yuri, and I think it's kind of come full circle, right? We thought that the Terror was a bad idea, or we thought it was a good idea, then a bad idea, and it turns out it's been a trap this whole time so that they could pick up this Yuri.
Yeah, and now we have got the Zars as well. So this actually creates a very interesting situation because we know that Ven loves the Yuri. We know that Ven loves the Zars as well. Import played it last game, also a pick away from NightShade. Both of these characters can play both roles, so until we see the entire draft come through, they can kind of flip however they want. So let's not look at these two heroes for just a little bit. There's other points being picked up. We still have that third pick from NightShade, but the Aurora has been picked up as well. Could be played in the jungle for import, could be played in the support role from Penguin. Both of them love this character. And we have the Murdoch. So, Two Hands had a very good game last game, was Colosseumed a lot in the last game, which caused him to have a few deaths. But now we have Neft picking it back up. Very comfortable on the hero, as we have said before. And now they're going back to the Grim ban.
Yeah, and Neft looked really comfortable on Grim in that last game as well. This was not a pick that he was doing poorly on, but this Murdoch has just been so heavily contested between these two. Philly, I gotta ask, we were highlighting the Yuri, really good in the jungle. Venom's especially very good at it. Zaris here now has also been one of our most contested junglers. Is this Zaris going into the offlane? What's the play here? It's very flexible.
It's very flexible, and I think they're waiting until they see the rest of the draft here from NSEU, which is fine, but they are leaning towards this dive-heavy composition, which is also why they're banning out the phase here, because phase has the pull, can save the carries, that sort of thing, and that's not what you want when you're trying to full-on dive.
What?
Wait. What is this? Is insane. Okay, hold on here, folks. Are we about to have an offlane Murdoch? Oh my god, I can't believe it. Offlane Murdoch, no way.
This is certainly interesting. Kira has not been contested at all. Maybe this is the trend that we are going to be seeing in this game, is a few characters that just aren't necessarily, or haven't necessarily been super contested. I say that, however, Kira has been picked in quite a fair few games over the course of this tournament. But not alongside another Murdoch. Morigesh now locked in for VVMH. Falcon, what is going on with this draft?
I'm trying to work it out. So Neon is a mid. That's confirmed, right?
Okay.
Neon's mid, Aurora's jungle, mid, or the support.
Okay.
But what if Aurora's not support?
Okay, so what if Aurora's
What if we have
Aurora
a double carry lane? Murdoch, Kira. One of them goes support. Either Murdoch can go for the traps, Kira can just go for the burst, go for the lantern, Penguin can roam, have that double threat with the objective damage, and then you have a some sort of offlaner against the Greystone. I don't think that's the case. I think this is probably going to be a Murdoch offlane, but there is a world where Penguin is mad enough to do it.
So I wrote just the word insane. Does that count? We were so convinced the Neon was going into this mid lane, and now a Gideon in the mix as well.
Is production trolling us?
Surely something insane is going on. You know, NightShade have some space to play with here. Maybe this is something unique. We see this often in these bigger sets of where teams just want to go for something really interesting. It kind of nearly almost worked with the Iggy and Scorch last time around, Philly. This time, Gideon, Kira, Murdoch, Aurora, and Neon will be the closing roster for NightShade.
Okay.
Who's the carry of VVMH?
I didn't even think about that, Frog. I didn't even know. I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. Is it Ure in the duo lane? Like this is I have in all my years of casting Predecessor, I have never seen a draft like this ever. This is going to be cracked. I can't believe it. I think, guys, it's going to be a Gideon support. I've seen Gideon support here because he has the root, and you can help him out maybe with the Kira, get some of that burst damage. But this is heavy burst. They really want to chunk through this Morgesh and this Greystone. They just want to just try to blow people up with their damage. This is insane. Holy crap.
Can I throw in my prediction here? As the non-analyst of the team, this is Ure carry for VVMH. Zaris in the jungle, Morgesh mid, Greystone offlane, Muriel support. That's my lock. And with that, I'm locking in my prediction for VVMH, because just what is going on with Nightshade Rocket?
What is going on entirely with this? There might be a slight issue with the draft order going on right now, so this might not actually be the compositions of each roster, which would explain a lot of what's going on. So we'll see on that in a minute or so, but let's just go and focus back on the UA and the Zaros, as we do get a little bit of a swap there. So we'll come back to that in a second. But UA, I still believe, is probably going to be in that jungle role with Ven. We're going to have that Zaros in the off lane. But yeah, so we should have a swap around here. We'll wait until that's confirmed, until we comment on it. So I think the UA is just going to run away with this game, though. So I'm kind of agreeing with you on VVMH. There's a reason this character's been banned so much.
Yeah, there is a reason Ure has been so heavily contested. And just to clarify for those in the back who didn't see the little swap, I'm so utterly confused here. We've just had the back end of the picks swapped on both sides. So it was production, in fact, trolling us and seeing the wild theories we were going to cook up. It will, in fact, be Kira Gideon rounding off the draft for VVMH and Greystone Morgesh finishing up for NSEU. So we will not be seeing a Gideon Murdoch Kira game from Nightshade. This looks a little bit more manageable, huh?
Billy, you see what I'm seeing here?
Is it a Morgesh offlane, buddy? Is that what you're seeing?
I'm seeing Neon support.
Neon support, not the Aurora support. Neon support.
I think it's Aurora jungle, Greystone off, Morgesh mid, Neon support with Penguin. I know he's played this hero before in support role, and I think that's what's happening here.
Oh, okay. This is a grand finals, folks. You need to be excited for this. I know we had some swaps there in the draft, but still, these teams are cooking. My word. I think I'm still going to go with VVMH. I think they just have a more well-rounded draft. It's just the circles and circles, right? Soulstorm into Coliseum, into Black Hole. You can do the purge. They're going for this full-on dive composition, as we talked about, right? Even with the Gideon diving in, the Muriel can follow him up. I think overall, it's just a solid draft, easy to execute. Whew, I'm no longer sweating for him. I like it.
Falcon, same question over to you. Who are you backing in this race?
I've got to go for VVMH as well. I think the UA is just too strong of a character. I think that Ben can take over this entire game. I believe that Ness probably going to have the same sort of issues as Two Hands last game with the Zaris plus Reversal of Fortune combo. And again, circles upon circles upon circles. Very easy to execute. And Nightshade, they're going to struggle to deal with it.
I am so glad that my analysts have finally come around to my way of thinking. And that is why I am locking in Nightshade EU. No, I am also backing
the follow-up on some of these engages. It's not looking good for Venivens, I gotta say.
No, I think it almost seemed a bit desperate already, right? Like at the end, okay, it makes sense if you're desperate, but like 15 minutes in the game, diving into the enemy jungler, just with Conte and Venom on their own, Gideon being poked out in the meanwhile in the mid lane, not able to join in with the rest. Just, yeah, I mean, definitely not what we wanted to see out of Venivens Many Hands, because of course we are here for this entire best of 5, want to see it the whole distance. Whether or not Venivens Many Hands can deliver us exactly that is gonna be in no small part due to the draft coming out in this next one as well. So definitely hoping for quite a bit of draft adaptation out of them.
If you are a fan of much more predecessor, you are hoping that Svenny in many hands. This is now it do or die with all of it on the line. I'll say going into the grand finals felt like they're back against a wall. Now game 1, that 51-minute game doesn't go their way. Game 2 as well, how NightShade took control. I don't know how many more odds are going to be stacked against them, but it needs to be a massive moment. Game 3 all comes down to that one. But first, it's back to our incredible desk for the post-game breakdown.
Thank you very much, TJ, Philly, and Falcon. Good lord. Guys, say it with me now. B-O-N-D Bondrew had a stranglehold on that game. But first, Philly, let's talk about probably one of the most exciting picks that we brought up on the desk, but really fell through in the actual game. Yurei, not in possession of Ven, instead went to solo off lane, and it just did not do what it needed to do.
So the thing with Yuri is that she needs to snowball. She needs to be ahead to be effective. And when you put her in the off lane, if she's not in a winning matchup, remember folks, like Pokemon type chart, right? If it's not a plus matchup, she can't get ahead and then can't snowball. So when you go up against these kind of tankier bruisers, like a Greystone, like a Terra, it's hard for you to win that game. So they were waiting for this critical mass point for this Yuri to be unlocked. By the time she got there, well, Bondrew was ahead of them. And so if you saw a 1v1 in the duel lane towards the end, and Naze just got chunked out, and at that point you're like, ooh, feels bad. So yeah, unfortunately Yurei just not in the offlane, has to have a winning matchup.
Yeah, we can talk about Bondrew until the cows come home. In fact, this first Fangtooth clip that we've got for us, Falcon, it really felt like Venny Vens could not find a good target in any of these fights.
This is the one they actually got kind of the steal on. You see that Ven got the assassination on import using the barricade stun into the spear near execute, and this was kind of like, okay, maybe Venny Vens actually has something, because they didn't have the greatest first 10 minutes, but they got the steal on the first Fangtooth, were able to get away without having anyone die as well. So that was kind of like, okay, maybe Ven can carry this game again on the Stars. Maybe he can get these good Colosseums, get these link ups with the amount of ultimates they have, but that just wasn't happening the later the game went. I don't know if there was something that was happening offside, but it felt like Ven had a vendetta against Penguin in this game, and in a sense it felt like he was always being baited into these 1v3s, 1v2s to try and kill the support. Which, I mean, yes, a Neon, but it's still lack of damage considering you haven't got many items. And there was a lot better targets to go for with the Colosseums and with his attempts to kill.
I think it's almost like a mental game, right? You see a Neon, you're used to it being squishy and easy to kill, but no, in fact, it was just a little too tanky. And I'm going to have to replay my question from before because I got the wrong Fangtooth clip loaded. It was this one, in fact, where we saw Bondrew really take center stage and do some terrifying things. Philly, we got to get back to these comms. It really felt like Venny Vens were a bit confused. They didn't really feel like they were a unit.
And so I do want to pause it right there. Bondrew takes out his opposite number immediately, folks. Like, that was what he is there to do, match his counterpart in the offlane. And then from there, he's free to just run into the backline and find the rest of the targets that he's looking for. So great space created, and then they go and secure the Fangtooth. The import just going ham in there, but double kill, triple kill, multiple instances throughout this game was Bondrew being the star. This guy is elite when it comes to the offlane. We've seen him run away with games time and time again.
And almost doesn't feel like it matters what pick they put him on, right? Every single character we've seen him on so far has just looked so incredibly oppressive. And speaking of oppression, let's move on to the other side of the map here, Falcon. Two Hands. We touted Two Hands as the ADC, the carry, the hunter player able to really take the fight to NightShade. Where was he?
I don't know. Apparently somewhere in the map, but I feel like I barely saw him in this game. Again, it's just unfortunate. Like, Akira isn't that strong in the lane, and against the Neon, who has got a lot of poke, has got a lot of burst potential with this Murloc, kind of one static trap, one assistance, one CC should be enough to burst either the Muriel or Kira to 100 to 0. You haven't got the shielding anymore from the Muriel, it's more of that healing now. And it just meant the lane was kind of unplayable for them in that early game. Neft got a snowball from there, took an early game tower as well. And then at that point in time, like, you're trying to survive into a Greystone, into Aurora, and it's just not going to happen as Akira.
It's really difficult. It's heartbreaking. And now there are no more lifelines for the Venivens. There's no more losers bracket. There's no losers grand finals. There are no more chances, no more rooms for error. If they aren't able to get a win in game number 3, they will drop out at a 3-0 slash line against the reigning champions. Let's hope, folks and fogettes, in... What a fitting trailer, given the switch up we saw in game number 2, Neon being piloted in the support role. Maybe some very interesting dynamic switches, some baiting that maybe wouldn't have happened otherwise. Penguin really showing off the flexibility of this brand new character. But now into the meat and potatoes, folks. This is now essentially a best of 1 3 times, in theory. NightShade have to win exactly 1 game. Venivens need to win 3 in a row, back-to-back, no more space to breathe. Billy, number 1 thing they need to change going into game number 3.
For me, it's the coordination and communication. We saw it in game 1 where they weren't clinical enough to finish it out. In game 2, not clinical enough on their dives and when they wanted to take those objectives. So they have to be more coordinated. They have to work as a unit. All 5 voices in unison. Right now, just a spec disjointed.
Falcon, over to you. How many times should NSEU run double mage, double carry, and 1 frontline for the rest of this series, just for the giggles?
I mean, I'm happy with game 4. I'm happy to do them to do it right now. So hopefully that's what we see. Give Venivens, yeah, go for 2. Make the last game close. But yeah, that's probably not going to happen. I know that NightShade, they want to close this out 3-0. They want to be dominant. They want to make that statement come through. Might still see double mate. Penguin is more than comfortable to play those types of supports, like we saw last game. But the draft is going to be interesting because the UA, which has been banned away this entire time, was first picked by Venivens and was kind of neutered in that off lane. Yes, you could play it in the jungle as well with Ven, but NightShade, they have the option to say, you know what, we dealt with that. This wasn't actually as bad as we thought. We can ban something else now.
Yeah, it is going to be an interesting one. I feel like Falcon, I had flashes of that one scene from The Incredibles where you're like, make it believable. Don't go as far ahead. Just please try and give us a decent game.
Close.
We have a pinky promise agreement from Venivens Many Hands that they will make this set close, gents. So I think maybe we're only in game number 3, 2-0 down for the drama. I think Venivens, you know, the pinky swear surely stands. We're about to witness them don their final form, go Super Saiyan, whatever way you want to put it. They have opted yet again for that first pick slot, maybe trying for this Yurei another time to give it to Ven this time around. Who knows? All I know is that NSEU are almost certainly going to take away that Acheron, because I don't think that we've seen Nysa perform well on any other offlaner so far.
It makes sense. Finally, they go for the Morgesh first. It was a problem in game 1. It was a problem in game 2. It won't be a problem here. Acheron, the same thing. But my question now is Venivens. The game 1, they had this area control composition with the Iggy. Game 2, they went full on dive. That didn't work. Now you're going into a game 3. What's the next trick that you have in your bag? What other composition are you going to run with? Is it full burst? Is it poke? Like, what? I'm curious to see how they're going to play this one out.
Yeah, it feels like every adaptation, every set that they could have gone for has just not quite panned out. And with the Rampage takeaway as well, Mako taken away, Yurei is still open here, Falcon, for first pick.
Terra's also open. That's the big thing right now. Terra is available. Between the two picks, I don't know if any events wants or prefers. They're going to go for neither. I think this is a big mistake. This is allowing Yurei Terra on the side of NightShade. I would be amazed if this isn't picked up. It might be the case that Import doesn't play Yurei. But Terra is 100% going to be picked up for Bondry. There's no reason why it's not going to be picked up. Just going back to the Neon, very strong character, obviously takes it away from NightShade as well, whilst you've also taken away the Morgesh, so that's going to reduce Shin's champion pool. Probably still going to pick up the Gideon, most likely a bit later on, the Arcus as well, so there is options for NightShade. But they're not going to pick up the Yurei themselves. They're going to go for the Aurora, go for the Terra. Aurora, again, another massive flex potential. Yurei. This is the big question this draft, apparently, right now.
Surely.
Are they going to pick it up?
Surely, and it's got to go to Ven. It did not have a good impact in the offlane, and it is one of the most potent characters that we've seen in the entire tournament. In fact, last game, the first recorded loss for Yurei the entire tournament. That was the one negative slash line against it. Picked up this time around, and Philly, I've got to ask the question. All of these games, even from the set yesterday, have been won or lost in the offlane. Why has there been so little respect towards Bondrewd? Why has there been so little support for Nysa?
That you can only ask the players that, because Bondrewd,
I'm asking you.
We've mentioned time and time again, has run away with games. There's this one game I casted with Spooky Mars over the summer where he was 4 levels up on his opposing number and was able to split push every tier 2 tower and crush the map. Right? It was incredible stuff what this guy can do. Nysa, I think, will be on the Greystone here. We saw that in game 1. Gonna be a more favorable matchup. This one's more of a neutral for these two, so I like that a little bit more. It's a lot riding on Ven to get active early on, make some things happen.
Still no sign of the Grim, but that will be the third ban. I speak it and it comes to exist. Grim taken away here. Third ban still dangling here for Venivens. They've taken away one of the kind of only second round picks that we've seen NSEU go for reliably. That's the Morgesh. Philly, where do you see this third ban going? Where do you see NightShade going with these last 2 picks?
Potentially more in the mid lane. Crush that hero pool even more. Take out the Gideon or the Argus. There it is, the Gideon. So it's kind of forcing Shin to maybe play the Argus. Doesn't always play that character. He'd probably prefer to play the Howie, though Howie's not very good right now. I know he won't, Falcon, but he does love Howie. So we'll see how he handles that situation.
Wow,
Something I want to mention, sorry, Blazy.
That's okay.
Yeah.
This entire set, we've had quite a lot of targeted towards Muriel. Not been banned at all. Not been picked up. I said not going to look at it either. So I was looking towards the bans like, is this something they want? Because neither support has been picked here. But they're going to go for the phase, was banned in the last game. Going to be picked up once again. So this allows them to go for the counter, the Muriel, if they want it. It wasn't really that strong on Conte last game, but we still need to see their dual lane.
Hear me out. Neon support.
Nah.
Conte pulls out Neon support. No, big head shakes, and then we see Howitzer in the mid lane. Guys, it's perfect.
Oh, God.
They take away another mid laner from NightShade. They force Shin deeper into their god pool. Dang it, I was wrong. There's the Muriel picked up on the 4th slot. Didn't look particularly aware, I would say. We didn't really see a lot of the Muriel in that last game. I think even when we saw Muriel in the set yesterday, Falcon, there was quite a lot of moments where we were like, this should be a Muriel ult. It hasn't felt like it's been really properly utilized.
It's just invisible, and that's not what you wanted, Muriel. You want to see those reversal fortunes. You want to see the turn around. I'm happy with this. I was hoping that Kira wasn't going to be picked here. I don't think Two Hands had a very good game on it.
Yeah.
The Drongo, probably not my highest pick of what I wanted, but at least it's a difference. You have that silence, you have that way to deal with the Aurora if it comes in. Snapple Cannon has got that CC immunity on it. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So you can dodge the Cryocism and the Energy Lance as well. I do think this is a stronger pick than the Kira, at least in the lane as well. So you should be able to see Two Hands do a few more things. Now, Gadget. I wasn't expecting this pick, but it's here.
This is incredibly interesting. I want to highlight, Gadget has not been picked in any place in the entire tournament. It has been banned twice. I do not know by which team, but Gadget has been taken away in the banning phase twice. Now seeing it on Shin, it feels like a very deep cut into Shin's character pool. What are we thinking about this Gadget? It's its first appearance in this tournament so far, Philly.
This is anti-dive, right? When the Greystone, the Ure jump in, or the Reversal Fortune, you pop the Tesla Dome down and you zap everybody who's in. Because once they're in, that's kind of where they're at. The struggle here is how she's going to fare in lane, right? Neon's going to have more lane priority. So this really is on Import to make sure that he is watching over Shin in that mid lane, making sure they can secure river bugs safely, rotate to objectives safely. So a lot of pressure on Import in this game to make sure his mid laner's safe.
I think it's really interesting that we haven't seen Zarus really contested, though in reality, then as strong as he looked on it in the last game, it didn't have the impact I think they were hoping for. But we'll put all that aside. I'll park all my thoughts and feelings so far. Falcon, coming to you first. NightShade up 2-0. What are you thinking?
I think it's going to be a 3-0. Year 8 didn't impress me last game. I know it's on Ben this time around, but I think that NightShade have got the tools to deal with it. I think Gadget last pick is very good as the enter dive, as Philly said. Aurora, Terra, Bondrude is a monster. Even outside of picking Terra, Terra's just an extra raid boss on top of it. Give him 20 HP bars, and VVMH are not going to get through him.
Philly?
I have to go with NightShade EU on this one as well. It's a pretty well-rounded comp. They've got some good team fight ability. I like their dual lane composition. So, yeah, NightShade, take it in 3.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Underneath my portrait, you'll only see 4 letters. And those are VVMH. Because I have not been wrong a single time here, folks. I've been predicting... Were we not predicting who's gonna lose?
That's awkward.
Is that...
Oh, no.
No? I've been getting it wrong the whole time? No, that can't possibly...
later.
That can't possibly be right. But...
Absolutely broken for VVMH in many hands, but wow. What a series. 3-0, NightShade EU. Deserved reigning champions of Europe.
I love that in Fangbooth we always had this conversation, right? Like, who is the best jungler that we have in Europe? It might have been Conta at some time, Immune winning everything. It might have been Venom, but not really winning much, to be honest. And then Import comes in, right? And he's like, okay, I'm gonna have the series of my career. I'm gonna have the tournament of my career. I'm gonna steal all the objectives I need. So I'm gonna find Venom out, and I'm gonna make sure that NightShade is gonna stay the PCC champion. So NightShade EU, everybody phenomenal gameplay, but really Import, in my mind, just really the standout.
I mean, hey, he was never able to get that success earlier on, but now he's finally reaping the rewards here in Europe, picking up these titles. Incredible performance from him, and honestly, from the entire rest of the squad. I think everyone of that NightShade roster has a highlight moment in this series. That's going to do it from myself and Tang. We've been the TNT cast, and we've crowned NightShade once again as your back-to-back champions. For the final time from us on this broadcast, it's back to the desk for the Both Series breakdown.
And what an incredible job you did, guys. Congratulations on a cast well done. And congratulations to our winning team, NightShade EU. It's difficult to imagine, it's difficult to say that we didn't all kind of imagine this would be the result. They have not still, to this point in this tournament, lost a singular map. And we've got to highlight in this game, in match number 3 specifically, the wild card pick, Philly, Gadget in the mid lane.
And I love this pick. This was we saw it exemplified time and time again, how the Tesla Dome just countered the dive. We have a good replay of this in the mid lane to start us off with Ben just going right in on it. I think does get the kill here.
And he gets down.
This is also where we needed the import on the Aurora to kind of come through and protect the mid lane before that ultimate was really impactful. But further into the series, we had the Tesla Dome causing a lot of problems for this dive of Venivens.
And it felt like the early game was all Venivens, all on the cards, all ruling that early game portion of the game here, Falcon. What started going wrong? We've got this mid fight here at the mini prime. Was that the moment where things started to flip?
It's not really one thing, again, for the side of Venivens. Yes, you had the advantage in terms of the kills, you had the advantage in terms of the gold, but the objectives is always NightShade's games. As we see this kill again in the mid lane for Shin, we can immediately see on the right side of the map, you have got the Terry, you have got the Aurora, taking that objective, taking that mini prime. And as we've seen time and time again with Bondrude, he has the mini prime, he gets ahead in the plates, he gets ahead in terms of the gold. Didn't happen as much this game, but it just means that your offlaner is in such an easier position to play the game.
Now, one thing I would really like to say, we've had quite a few conversations, I think, about Niza. I think there's been a lot of games where he hasn't been performing in line with the rest of the team. This game, though, does get a solo kill onto his counterpart, Bondrude. Regardless, that's got to be a boon for the offlaner. Right, that's a little bit of a win that you can take away from it, but a player that didn't really have a lot of impact, Philly. 2 hands. Where was he? He wasn't here last game? He wasn't here this game?
Yeah, was he in the server at all? Almost, it felt like. And I think when you have a dive composition, it's very difficult to then also get your carry involved, because the rest of the team is just going full throttle, and you're like, wait for me, guys, as you're trying to do the damage from the back, and that does leave you kind of vulnerable for other characters to dive on top of you. So 2 hands was trying to catch up, but also playing safe at the same time. Not the best peel from the supporting cast, so it was difficult for him to find the damage he was looking for.
It was tough in general. And we can have a look at this Fangtooth as well. It felt like there was a lot of miscommunication here in this game. As a whole, Falcon, this, I think, is the pinnacle of that point.
It's hard to watch it. I'm going to be honest. It's really hard to watch it because you got Benny there, instantly loses half HP. The Fangtooth goes down to about 3k. You see 2 hands also trying to use the heal, and that means you don't have it for the silence onto the Aurora. And just, again, import. Steals the objective time and time again. And just, I mean, imports shouldn't have been allowed to get in there in the first place, even without the steal. But the steal was impactful. It meant that NightShade then was able to look towards the Orb Prime, towards the Saper. And soon after that, they took game number 3.
Yeah, it was just, it was a slippery slope, I think, from then, even with the early game aggression. It just didn't quite go as according to plan, Philly. Now, we're at the end of our road here. Obviously, with NightShade having won, they walk away with 50 points for themselves, 50 pinnacle points to help them into that qualifying position for Summer Summit. On the flip side of that as well, Venivens do walk away with 40, which is still a respectable amount, and it will go a long way in the long term. If you had to hang it's a big ask. If you had to hang one big old sign on the door of this set and say, here is the big problem, this is what the writing on the wall was, so to speak, what was the biggest issue for VVMH?
I don't know if I would label it an issue. I think that what I would hang my sign on, if I had to, you know, put a caption on a YouTube video or something, it would just be import steals. We think in every series we saw him steal at least one major objective.
That's true.
And that turned the whole tide for their team, got the momentum and tempo back in their favor to then close the game out. Without those pivotal steals, especially in game number 1 and there in game 3, I think it could have gone a different way, but import heroics time and time again.
Well, guys, this series has been defined by some very interesting drafts. And I can think of no player who has found a more interesting pick in this entire best of 5 than Penguin. And we do have the honor of being joined by Penguin now, I do believe. Hello, Penguin. Oh, can we hear Penguin? Is he an audible Penguin? I do hear the Penguin possess the power of speech.
My mic's on.
There he is.
Hey.
Penguins.
Hey,
Congratulations. How does it feel to be the first European team to win back-to-back tournaments?
It's a familiar feeling, if I'm honest, but it was good.
Amazing. A familiar feeling. Great. Philly?
Yeah, Penguin, I mean, I'm going to start with more of the in-depth questions. That game 1, the Iggy pick as the final one for VVMH. Did that throw you off for a loop? What was your mentality going into that first game?
Our mentality in the first game is we were going to throw the same draft that we threw at them yesterday, and we'd see what they'd come up with to adapt with it. And when we were mock drafting and training for it, the Iggy was in mind, and we did actually call the Iggy pick on the last, roughly around the second ban stage. But at that point of the draft, it was kind of hard to deal with Iggy at that point because they'd already set the foundations for their comp, and we just had to try and play into it.
Gotcha. Okay, and play into it you did. Lots of steals from imports, epic plays from you on the phase throughout this series. Well done.
Just moving on to game number 2, Penguin. We got to ask about it. The Neon support. Obviously, we thought it was going to be in that mid lane for Sin. Was it flexed into your position? Was that something that you picked it up immediately and think this is going to be support, or did you flex it later on? How do you find the pick? Why do you think Neon support works?
It's a similar pick to things like Karma in League, where it's just a really heavy poke lane. I carry my ADC through lane, he carries me through game kind of pick. So, but as far as flexing go, we picked it first in mind with it flexing, as like if it was a good Morigesh game and they wanted to go assassin heavy, which VVMH is known for, we could always pivot back to the Morigesh.
Okay. Well, Penguin, I mean, where do we even close it off? Are there any things that you would like to say? Any people in the back you want to thank? Any words?
Oh god, there's a lot of people to thank, so we might be here a while. Obviously, my team.
Oh, no. Keep it to a tight 3.
Goats. The NightShade boys, D-Money, Turk, Blue Monster, all those boys for supporting us all the way. You know, giving us a home and essentially, and giving us backing while we're doing it. M deserves a shout out. He was he spent many a time with Bond just 1v1 and learning matchups. So I think that's definitely worth a shout out.
And I do have just one more question for you. This one might be a little bit more of a thinker. Now, some people have been calling NightShade the insurmountable figure in Europe. Is there anything that you could say to other teams who are aspiring to get onto your level, to any kind of like major things that have helped you guys get to where you are, things that might bring the rest of the scene up to NightShade's level?
I guess the funny answer is you just don't win any scrims. I think we had a 30% scrim rate, win rate, so you just don't win any scrims and you go flawless on game day. But I think the more important part is when you scrim is you take something out of it, like you learn something from it, or you go into the scrim with the intention of learning something from what you're doing.
All right, well, Penguin, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations once again on your win. Now, folks, we can go ahead and take a look at the graphic as it stands now, the bracket as it stands now, with NightShade EU up on top 3-0. Now, this does not mean that this is the end of the road for Predecessor today, because we do have North America coming up after. So don't go anywhere, people who are interested in more Predecessor gameplay, because there is still plenty more game to play. And of course, if you have been enjoying Predecessor Esports as a whole, and you want to help support so we can make these tournaments bigger, better, badder every single time that we do them, you can jump on in-game right now and pick up one of the victorious bundles or one of these wonderful profile banners as well that you can claim for yourself. That works too, the victorious bundle. Here we go. There are, of course, bundles for every single role that you can pick up, and every single penny of those proceeds comes back towards supporting competitive scenes in Predecessor. That goes for PCC Spring Playoff, Summer Summit, any other tournament that you see from Omedia. That's what these go into. And now we can talk about that free cosmetic that you can grab for yourself as well, because not everything has to be with a price tag. It's not about the money, money, money. We just want to make the world dance, and that's what this banner is all about. You don't like Jesse J, Falcon? Okay, noted. But moving on, folks, on top of all these cosmetics, we do have a little bit of a special announcement for you.
Red is pushing towards this for their play on their top.
J-Boy's getting zoned by Panda. They pick up another one. And with 10 seconds left, no members around. Team France is going to be your first Nations League champion. And they come out and they end this game with a dominant score.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it on, boys. What's up, man?
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Central America is coming for you, baby.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Be prepared to bring it on at the end of April with the return of the Nations Cup. You can sign up with just yourself or with friends and be matched in to a team of people from your country. Think the World Cup, but for Predecessor. It's a €1,000 prize pool, and it is going to be an incredible showing if it's anything like last time. 25th and 6th of April will be your group stages, and 2nd and 3rd of May will be your knockout stages. Philly, Falcon, I'll go to Philly first. Who are you rooting for? Italy?
Yes, I do love a lot of Capo. You know, there's a lot of great Italian players. I love the U.S. side, but the Nations League, I'm so hyped for this to be back. This is kind of where I got my start in Predecessor way back when, 2023, and this was some of the most hype, most memorable moments I can remember in terms of the Predecessor in these Nation Leagues. So I'm so elated to have this back on the docket, and this comes from those victorious bundles. We can't have a prize pool for these community events without your help. So just another way we're exemplifying your support in growing this community.
Falcon?
I love the Nations League. It's always great fun. I am obviously from the UK. I got to support my own UK brethren. I'm biased like that. Blame me, I don't care. But it is always good fun. I believe that France is the current victor at the moment in time. So if you're from France, UK, Italy, Germany, US, Canada, anywhere else in the world, sign up. Support your country, support your nation, and see if you are the best in the world.
I think you're missing a very important country there, Falcon. Viva España! Spain! Obviously, come on, man.